Doing a little bit of a sound check. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back once again to a live show right here at JayJays Pc Builds. I am JJ right here with you once again. I know I'm going to give you time to get started. I know it's a little bit early, so I figured give everybody a little bit of time to get settled in. So in the meantime, make sure y'all got your soda, you got your popcorn ready. We got a lot to talk about. So we're gonna get things started soon enough, as soon as we get some people in here. I started a little bit early because I wanted everybody to know that I just jumped on and we're going to get the party started. And if this is your first time here seeing my live video, make sure you subscribe if you want to get in on the chat. All you got to do is subscribe. It costs nothing to subscribe. So make sure you subscribe if you want to take and get in on the chat and you want to join in and have fun and everything else, just to let you know. The reason I'm doing this is so that way we can get subscribers to subscribe. You know, cost nothing, not charging anything, so doesn't hurt. Just put me on your list, and then when new videos come up, you'll see them most recently. There's another reason too, is because of YouTube's algorithms. You see, YouTube, they put you on like a set scheduling. It's like the more subscribers you have, the more they're going to push you up on the list for your videos to get out to everybody. And if you're the low man on the pole, guess what? Your videos barely make it out, so you barely get subscribers, and you know, you gotta like fight for, you know, to get subscribers and everything else. So I want y'all to understand the reason why I put subscribe. You know, if you want to get in on the chat, you can subscribe. I do that for a reason. You know, so this way you understand, you know, just subscribe. It doesn't hurt anything. And I want to welcome all the new subscribers that we got to the JayJays Pc Builds family. Welcome once again. Welcome to the family. And you wonder what the channel is about. We're about PC information, PC building coming soon, and stuff like that. So this way y'all know what's going on. I start the stream a little bit early. This way everybody can get in on the stream. It's wide open to the public. It's not like I'm hiding anything. It's all good news. And if you get on the stream late, you can always roll it back so you can see the beginning and work yourself way to the forward. That way you catch up with us. So, also to my trip to Arizona. Okay, there's a lot of people that were asking the question about the Arizona trip. I figure I'd just touch off real quick before we get started into... Oops, sorry about the microphone thing. You know, I got to deal with this thing right here. This right here. This is my microphone. Now, if y'all hear me go click, click, click and stuff like that, is because I need a better microphone. I got to work on getting that, and, you know, time is money. So, basically, when we monetize, I'll be able to buy better things for the channel. You know, anything that I get from the monetization goes directly into the channel, so it's just building the channel. It's not benefiting me whatsoever. I'm doing this, you know, because I feel it has to be known. I spent 35 plus years dealing with PCs and everything else. So it's about time that, I bring my experience to you to tell you what the good side and bad side, or whatever the case may be, if I feel the product is good or not. I'm going to give you an honest answer when you ask me the question. So that's the reason why now I'm doing the live chats. We have 80 plus subscribers. I feel that it's time to, do live chats. We do it once a week. And then when we get more subscribers, we'll go up to twice a week. And maybe we'll go up to 3 times a week. But back to the Arizona trip. I went out to Arizona, okay? I went out to Arizona to see if I can find some computer parts. When I got out there, I was looking and looking and looking. I went to a couple little private mom and pop shops to see if they got any parts that are with, that's any good. But I didn't find what I was looking for. So, and especially when they have the prices, like for the motherboards and stuff, like about almost $300 for a motherboard, and then the processor, you're looking at $400 or $500 for the processor and stuff like that. I thought to myself, well, this isn't gonna work, because I can go on Amazon, I can go on Newegg, and I can order it directly from them and get it for a cheaper price, plus with maybe a little bit of a discount. So when I brought that up to these mom and pop shop owners, they're like, okay, well, there's Amazon, there's Newegg, have a nice day. They're like, they were totally rude to me. I'm not mentioning who it is or what shop I went to, but the thing is this: I didn't feel like it was a welcoming kind of thing. It was more or less like, when you go to, where is it? Best Buy. I went out to Best Buy in Arizona to find out, and I know I did a video on this a long time ago, but I feel it's like a retouch. When Best Buy first came out, long time ago, okay? This is when Best Buy was out and they had Comp USA. Comp USA was down in the state of Florida, until they closed out later on down the road. But Comp USA used to be like Micro Center, to where you get all PC parts and everything else. You get discounts and blah, 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 blah. Okay, but the thing is this: with Comp USA closing, and then later on down the road, then you got Micro Center that just, that come out. Now, I could imagine quite a few years ago, but I yet to make it to Micro Center, but I will make it to Micro Center soon. Just be aware, and Tustin, California, Micro Center is the place to go to, because I've been watching their prices and everything else, and they got some decent prices compared to if you buy online. So I've been price checking back and forth. It looks like Micro Center's got some great deals. But in order to get the great deals, make sure you reserve those great deals before you get there, because if you reserve it, you're going to get it at that price. So that's the best way to do it. But I plan on going out to see them soon. I have a few questions I want to ask them anyway about a few things, and we'll see how that goes. But I'm going to make sure this year, I'm going to make sure that I get a GoPro. Okay. When I went out to Arizona, I forgot one thing. I forgot the camera. This one right here. I didn't take the camera with me. And I know my tablet's not going to, record and be able to send it back to my PC. So I was left without getting any photos or anything else. So I was kind of upset about that because I wanted to document my trip going out to Arizona and coming back. But that didn't work out the way I wanted to, so I know I'm going to have to get a GoPro. It's no getting around it. If I'm going to take these trips and everything else, I want to at least get 1080p to 4K, videos, so that way when I edit it, it comes in and it looks crystal clear. That's one of my problems. So I was kind of upset about that. But just to let you know, the trip overall wasn't a complete loss. I met some cool people out there, that, they're, gamers, and they were telling me that, problem they have is the same thing I had, that, going to a mom and pop shop, they can't get the great prices, so they'd rather wait and order off Amazon, Newegg, and so on. And plus, where they were located at, they didn't have a micro center next to them, so, it went from there. But the trip went well. I made it back safely, and it wasn't what I was expecting, so I think I'm going to start planning my trip for Micro Center, and that's going to be my next trip, just to let y'all know. I'm going to try to bring, if I get a GoPro before then, that would be great, but if not, then I'll have to use this camera. But this camera right here, when it's connected to the computer, it runs at 1080p, okay? But when I run it solo on its own, it runs at 720p, and that's a problem. Because at 720p, it does not look good at all. So, very bad disappointment. But if that's what it takes, then I'll try the best I can to get the video and bring it back, and when I edit it, I'll try to clean it all up if it's possible. But if it's not, then y'all are going to see it. It's going to look kind of crappy, but you're going to be able to see what you see. So anyway, if anybody's got any questions or anything, the chat is open. Just make sure y'all subscribe, and you can take and type into the chat. It would be awesome if you did subscribe. So let's go ahead, and we got 10 minutes left before we get started. As far as anything else is going on right now, y'all know about the sleeper build. I am working on that. I got to order the parts for that, and that's going to take a little bit of time, because for the prices they're wanting for the parts, I'm not really going to pay astronomical prices for parts that you could have gotten 6 months ago for cheaper. So I'm looking at it like that. Also too, the front of my case, now I'm going to flip my camera around so y'all can see. There. Now right here, this is the heat sink, the new heat sink I put in. I took out the lights, and also too, this is the old one. This is the old one I had in there. I left that on, the thermal paste on, so y'all can see that it had great coverage on the thermal paste. It flew off a little bit, but this is the cooler I had on the case. This is the cooler. It's a John's Bow. It's the 1400 series. But I'll tell you what, it keeps the heat down. But I would prefer, since right here it's got no fan, I would prefer to have a fan right here. Just to let y'all know that I'd rather have a fan here and a fan here. So you got the fan going from this direction, going around, fan coming here, going out the back. So that, let me put that down and flip you around. Alrighty. So we flipped you around. There we go. So, you know, it's a work in progress. Just to let you know, it is a work in progress. So, if you're wondering what I've been doing, that fan that's got 3 fans. I pulled out the strips. Let me see if I can find them. Okay. Those fans that were in that heat sink that I just put in, they come with strips like this. See these strips? These are just regular lights that are in there. I pulled out this strip was because this strip right here, I don't like the lights. So I pulled out the strip, you know. And I'm going to be looking for the replacement of ARGB lights that I want to put in there. So that's going to have to be, I'm probably going to do a video on that to let you know. So that way y'all can see me take and reconvert those RGB lights to ARGB and get it to work in an ARGB order instead of a still RGB. That means there's no control to this whatsoever. It's rainbow color, but it's a crappy rainbow color. That's the reason why. That's one thing I didn't like about the fans on this. But I like the fans because the fans are doing well. They're quiet and they keep the heat down. Let's see. What am I running at right now? I'm running at 116 degrees Fahrenheit. That's probably around 50 something. Who knows? So, just to let you know, the fans are working well. And if you can't hear me, let me know in the chat if you can't hear me very well, and we'll turn the mic up so that way you can hear me better. Let me put this away. Okay. So we are getting there. We got about 6 minutes to go, but we're going to go ahead and get started anyway. Good morning to everybody that's here. Just let me know if you hear me. If you hear me, just say hi. And that way we can continue on and get going. So, you know, just let me know if you say hi. Just say hi and we'll go from there. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Yeah, hopefully y'all can hear me, so we'll go from that. But anyway, let's go ahead and dive right into AMD. Let's see what AMD's got going on. Okay, we're gonna flip the screen just to let you know, and there we go. We flipped the screen. It seems that they put out the Ryzen 7800 X3D, but that's an 8-core 16-thread. It's up to 5 gigahertz, 4.2 gigahertz on the base clock. It's 104 megabytes of cache with 120 watt TDP. Now, from what I'm hearing, that with the 7800, the 7900, and the 7950, that the only thing they really unlocked was the memory. I think they said the memory. Don't quote me on it. I could be wrong, but I think it's the memory. And that's pretty much it. It's not a total full unlock. So if I'm wrong about it, make sure y'all let me know in the chat and we'll figure out why. So, but from what I hear, that the 7800 and the 7950 and the 7900 X3D, they're going to be coming out on the 29th of this month. So be ready for it. There's no benchmarks on it or anything else, so I can't tell you if it's a good or bad product, but for $699, that it's only, they, from what I've been looking at online, that the 7950X and the X3D are only like $50 apart or something like that. I think the 7950X is like $649 and this is $699, but this 7950X3D gives you 16 cores, 32 threads, and it's 5.7 gigahertz on the max side, and on the base side, low base side, is 4.2 gigahertz at 120 TDP. But I've noticed that they all have 120 TDP. Just to let you know that they all got 120 TDP. The difference between the three, one's got 144 megabytes, the other one's got 140, and the other one's got 104. Okay, now as far as the clock speed, one's got 5.0 gigahertz on the max, one's got 5.6 gigahertz on the max, and the other one's got the 5.7 gigahertz on the max. Okay, I can't see for 4 more megs of cache and 100 more megahertz, 100 more megahertz on the clock speed, and 4 cores times 2 more, you know, I can't see why they charged $100 more. See, that's kind of the thing too, you know, because truthfully, I can't really see paying $449, $599, or $699 for a processor, especially when you can buy, you know, your Zen 3. You know, this is GDR5, this is DDR5, and that's DDR4. They say, well, you know, it's best to go to DDR5 than it is DDR4. But you got to figure out the price range. That's what matters the most, is when you're dealing with the price range of your processors, which is going to be the best processor for you. Well, it depends on if you're doing creator work or you're doing gaming or you're doing both. Okay, I could see getting the 7950 X3D to do the creator work and to do gaming as well, if you're going to do it all on one PC. But if you're not, then it's kind of good to break it up a little bit, you know, and get... I'm still going to stay for the creator side. I'm still going to say, you know, DDR4, you know, like a 5900X, and let's say NVIDIA RTX 3080 or 3080 Ti or 3090, one of the two. I'm going to say right in about that ballpark if you're looking to do creating, you know, mid-level creating kind of thing. And welcome everybody that just came in the door. If you're going to do mid-level creating, then that's best to do it that way. But I can't see paying more. If you're going to pay $1,000 total to build a whole system, but you got to pay $700 for a processor, you got to pay $1,200 to $1,600 for a video card, that the number's going to add up. You're going to be in between the $4,000 and $4,500 to almost $5,000 range in order to have one of those high-end computers. Especially the price on the motherboards and everything else. You have to really look at that. That you have to really consider. But if you're doing just a low budget PC, then you're looking on the range of between $500 and $1,000. I mean, to be honest, $500 or $1,000 is a good low budget start. My PC only cost $450 total. $450 for mine. That's it. But I don't have a graphics card. I run integrated graphics, and yes, I'm streaming off of integrated graphics, believe it or not. And it does pretty well, as you can see. So, well, let's go ahead and move my face out of the way, because I think I see a little bit of a boo-boo. There we go. So, sorry about that. I forgot that little symbols right there in my face. But, if I'm streaming on a B450 motherboard, okay, and I got the Ryzen 5 5600G, and I'm running integrated graphics, and I'm streaming right onto YouTube and making all these videos. With this processor alone, I made all the videos that are on this channel. All the videos from using the Ryzen 5 5600G. Now do remember the Ryzen 7 5700G is just as good, or even a little bit better than the 5600G, so you might want to think about going that route as well. But anyway, let's move on from the 7800X3D and let's drop over to the ARC side of things, and let's have a look at the ARC A750. Now, it was like a day or two ago, Intel dropped new drivers for the ARC 750. Okay, they just dropped the drivers. They're supposed to be new and improved drivers. So, and also too, they did a price drop on the GPU itself. Instead of it being almost close to $300, now it's $250. This is on Newegg. You can get it, for $250. We'll go ahead and roll back a little bit. And if you want to get like the ASRock Challenger, they have a little bit more frequency on it, but it's at $289. So if you're looking to do the ASRock with the ARC's A750, or you're looking to do the Founders Edition, the regular Intel Founders Edition, which right here, it only gives you core clock of 2050, and the other one gives you 2500. So you get 500 more megahertz with the other one compared to this one. This one is just your basic Founders Edition, basic as can be. But, if you want to go to the ASRock version, and this is what you're getting for the ASRock Challenger version for the Intel A750. So you can go that route too. I like the looks of the A750 that ASRock did, I'll be honest with you. I kind of like that look right there. That looks nice. compared to the other one. It looks like the Founders Edition, but you know, I kind of like the ASRock look myself. So, and you can see that it gives more core clock frequency than the Founders Edition itself. But you can look down and you can see the prices. If you're looking for, you know, bigger prices, you know, for 250 bucks, 260 or 250 bucks, 270 bucks, 20 bucks more, you know, you get a little bit more speed, not much. So, you know, you'd be best off to just do the Intel Arc A750 from Intel, you know. But if you like the aesthetic look, then you can go with the ASRock Challenger D. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, yep. ASRock Challenger Arc A750, 8 gigabytes. Sorry, that was the wrong cooler. This is the right cooler, so we can look at that. Intel's come a long way from, you know, going through building laptop graphics compared to you know, desktop graphics. They came a long way since then, you know, especially integrated graphics to graphics cards. So they got their new drivers out. You might want to test if you got your Intel Arc 750 already, A750 already. You might want to check the updates for the drivers because they just came out not too long ago. But anyway, let's move on to the leak of the day. They had NVIDIA, the 800 watt Titan GPU, the AD102, supposed to. This is the leak they had. This is for the RTX 4090. It's the AD102 with 18,176 cores, 1,792 cores more than the RX 4090. It's supposed to run at 24 gigabytes per second, and the TDP is supposed to be 600 watts, but that's for the 4090 Ti. You know, that's not too bad, but the price on that's going to be a little bit higher, because then they got the Titan GPU with 48 gigabytes of memory and everything that the 4090 Ti is going to have. The same, I would imagine, the same amount of cores, but that's just a leak not to be determined as of yet, because NVIDIA did not post anything out for that GPU. So we really don't have much to go on with that GPU. Video Cards put it out. Much shout out to Video Cards for that information. As far as we can see right now, we really don't have that much on what's going on with that NVIDIA card. If they're going to take and bring out the Titan GPU, or they're going to bring out the 4090 Ti. But in the works, they're supposed to be having the 4070, not the 4070 Ti, but the 4070 coming out next. This is just in the future, just to let you know that's what's happening. So also too, we can look up for the 4070. So let's go ahead and look up for the RTX 4070, what we're going to come up with on the specs. So we will take a look on the specs of the 4070. Okay, so this is from Tech Power Up. Shout out to Tech Power Up. It's supposed to have the AD104, and it's supposed to have 5,888 cores with 184 TMUs, 64 ROPs, 12 gigabytes of GDDR6X, and 192-bit. But, you know, this to me, what it looks like on the graph, you can get, it looks like it's equal to a 6800, a RX 6800 from AMD, you know, and it can be beat with the 6800 XT. So I it's one 12-pin connector. They're still going to use the same 12-pin connector that they do with the 4080. Ooh, lordy, move myself over out of the way. Like they do the 4080, the 4070 Ti, the 4090. It's going to be all the same connector. I don't see them changing from those connectors in any time of the future, so you're going to still need a bigger power supply to handle with that new connector, and you're still going to need a bigger case if you want to fit the I'll move myself away again. I got to remember to remove that little icon thingy there. So, overall, you're still going to need a bigger case. You're still going to need, you know, a bigger power supply. You know, it still comes down to all that. Even if you get something a little bit lighter that's only got 5,000 some cores, you know, but it's going to be an interface with PCIe 4.0 x16, so that is a plus. So, but if y'all have any questions or comments, make sure you leave it in the chat. Let me know what you think. But, you know, what I'm thinking myself is what's going to be coming next. You know, what other things are going to be coming next. So, okay. Let's see. Oop, I forgot I had to disable that. My bad, my bad. What do you all think? I mean, let me know what y'all think in the comments. You know, I'm going to let you know what my thoughts are. Backing up to the 7900X3D, the 7950X3D, and the 7800X3D. I'm going to let you know, I think the prices are a little too high, even though that they got their prices dead set with the Ryzen, the 7900X, the 7950X, 7800, 7700X, you know, and the non-X's. They got all the prices linked down the road. I think what I think about the 770 graphics card, from what I'm hearing on the benchmarks and everything else, you know, that the 750, the A750 was a lot better for price to performance than the 770. It's not this. Now, don't get it wrong. The 770 is a good card. It is a really good card, but the thing is with the price to performance, I mean, the 750 would have been the better choice. But the 770 is not a bad choice neither. It's just the driver issues that Intel has with the ARC, that it's not up to speed. That's something that they have to work on, that it's going to take time. So, with it taking time, I mean, they're just now producing their new set of cards, you know, for 2022, 2023, you know. It's going to take 4 years. It's going to take 4 years for them to season the drivers and make it better as it goes along. But they have to get the drivers and the software calculated better to where it'll handle like your DX12 games, 11, 10, 9, and so that way all your games you play, you won't have a DirectX issue like they've been having, and an OpenGL issue like they've been having. You know, they've been having all these problems with OpenGL, DirectX, and can't get the drivers to correspond correctly with the gaming. So once they get all that figured out and they get it rolling in the right direction, I'm sure it'll be an awesome card. If you got it, I wouldn't give it up. If I were you, I wouldn't give it up at all. I would hold on to it. For the reason is because later on down the road, within a year or two, them drivers can be a lot better. They can upgrade it even more and more and more. So the upgrading availability is there. Well, the 3060, for entry level 3060, yeah, if it's the 12 gigabyte version. Now, if it's the 3060 Ti, which I think that's the 8 gigabyte version, it would be better to go to the Ti than it would be the 12 gigabyte version, I think, for NVIDIA on the 3060, because it gives a little bit better performance than the 3060 Ti gives a little bit better performance than the 3060. Now, as far as the 6600 XT, that's really good too, but for the 6600 XT, you might want to think about the 6650 XT. You might want to go up that little bit more if you want to get better performance. But as far as between the 3060 and the 6600 XT, I would choose the 6600 XT, my opinion. Because if you're running, and I've always said this for years, that if you're running an AMD system, like an AMD processor that's running everything that's built on, like if you're running ASUS for AMD, you're running your AMD Ryzen processor, you're best off to stay with an AMD graphics card. Because for the simple fact that even if it doesn't have the coding on it for, like, if you want to do creator work, your processor will compared to your GPU. But some people say, well, it's best to go to Intel with their processor and to go with NVIDIA for their graphics card. This way you get a lot better video encoding and decoding through Intel and NVIDIA than you would AMD. That's what a lot of people tell me, but if that's the truth, then I wouldn't be able to stream as well as I do running OBS and running YouTube, a live stream right now, which I'm using the Ryzen 5 5600G. So my streaming wise, I'm doing great, as you all can see. I'm doing fine. But me, if I were to prefer a graphics card, I probably would go the 6600 XT. Just because it would give better and higher graphics than I have now. But, I just don't think the 3060 would be beneficial to my system. Now, maybe somebody else's system, it might be beneficial, but to my system, I don't think it is. So it all depends on what kind of system you have. And I always said this, and everybody hear me out on this. It depends on your motherboard. Your motherboard is the gatekeeper to your processor. It's the gatekeeper to your GPU. It's the gatekeeper to your RAM. It's the gatekeeper overall. Okay, you have to understand that. It is the gatekeeper. Basically, without the motherboard, you can't plug in your RAM, you can't plug in your GPU, you can't plug in your processor, you can't plug in anything without that motherboard. That motherboard distributes everything going from your processor to your graphics card and so on. So always consider your motherboard to be one of your high priorities, just like your processor. This is true. You won't see right now with the MSRP on any graphics card. Any graphics card right now, you're not going to find them too much at MSRP. Okay? I even had that same problem. If you watch my videos on graphics card nightmares, it will show you that, that was that week for the prices on the video cards. Even on eBay, the prices on the 3060 are well over the MSRP. I mean, unless you go and bid on a graphics card to get a cheaper price, that's the only way you're going to get a cheaper price. But for right now, the way prices are, you're not going to see MSRP for a little while. Until they get past, and do understand this, until AMD and NVIDIA get past one thing, and it's called trying to jack up the prices and keep them high instead of giving the consumer a break. I mean, the consumer wants to buy their products, but not paying $300 to $400, especially for, I'm going to tell you, a 3060. I cannot see paying even at MSRP $329. Okay, I can see it at half that price because because now they got the 40 series and they're already building on the 40 series. All the 30 series should have been at least at half price. And that's just my honest opinion. They should have been at half price. You can think differently, but I think it should have been. It should have been a consumer break. They want to get rid of them, so they should have cut it down to half price on all of them, and then been done with it. But they didn't. They kept the prices 10% lower on some cards at MSRP. That's because the cards that they kept 10% lower are the cards nobody else wants. Like what? Let's use an example. The 1650. How many people out there is going to be using the GTX 1650 or the 1660 Super? Not many anymore. They all want the 30 cards. Because of the encoding and everything else, and the high refresh rates of those cards. They're not going to want much of the older cards anymore. People collect the older cards just to have them, just as a collector's piece, like AMD revamping the RX 580, and bringing that 8GB card back out and keeping the drivers alive. Guess what? How many people really buy those? Are the ones that use for light to no gaming. Those cards are just based on for light gaming and business, and that's pretty much it. But as far as with MSRP, I'm going to tell you, as far as the MSRP on a 3060, believe it or not, the MSRP on the 3050 is getting up to about almost the same price on the 3060. So yeah. Yeah, but you're using the UHD 770. That's not bad at all. I mean, so you're running integrated graphics like I am to do the same thing. I'm using the Ryzen 5 5600G, and you're using the UHD Graphics 770, but the UHD 770 comes on some of the processors as it is, as you go up and down the road. So you do have a better advantage than you would with Ryzen. And I hate to say that, with Ryzen you don't have that great of an advantage. Okay, because even though that they give you 8 CUs, okay, but the newer cards are only running at 2 CUs on the Ryzen side. But as far as the graphics for the Intel side, you know, I do agree the 3900K, it should be about the same. But I don't know about 4K graphics. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know nothing. I don't deal with 4K graphics. I'd rather stay within 1080p and 1440p. Is because the 4K graphics they get out now are still, the graphics cards are not meeting to that 4K advantage. I mean, no matter, even if it's the RTX 4090, the 4080 or the 4070 Ti, to me, I don't think they're meeting to that, to the proving point of 4K. Especially when you look at the amount of FPS you get with those cards. But look at the amount of FPS you get with your UHD Graphics 770 that's built onto the processor. Do a bench test. See what it's like. See if it's really worth it. The maximum I got out of mine was, I got it close to 300 FPS on OpenGL. Okay, but on DirectX 12, I got it close to about 60. So that's my benchmark, from 60 to 300. That's the kind of benchmark I got off of my processor, running integrated graphics. But if you get that kind of leeway with your graphics on your Intel processor, and you get better, you know, like you get 300 to 400 on the max, and you get like 50 or 60 on the low, then, you know, you're still getting that great deal. But also too, look at your frequencies. You know, mine's running at 2300 megahertz, so it's set frequency. Well, I understand that. Nobody wants to nobody wants to give their money to greedy companies. Nobody does. Times are tight right now, and I do understand that 100%. I mean, to be honest with you, it depends on really what you want to do with the 4K videos. But, you know, for editing, it depends on if you want to use CPU for your editing or you want to use GPU for your editing. If you want to use GPU, then it'd be better to go with, you know, 40 series cards, or see, the reason why I say the 40 series cards is because the 3090 Ti, the 3090, the 3080 Ti, 3080, 3070, 3070 Ti, okay, just to put them into a bracket, those are between the prices of your new 40 series cards. Do you disagree or agree with that? That's where you first start. So you ask yourself that question. Okay, well, if I'm going to buy the best of the best, then I need to start with the 40 series cards, right? So, but you look at the 30 series and you look at the price to performance for the 30 series compared to the 40 series. Okay, so if you get a 3060 or a 30, I would say a 3070. Okay, to be honest with you, I would say a 3070, you know, to get you right where you need to, right into that middle line. Um, to go with that, to complement that, you could go Intel, since you've already talking about the 39, what, the 39700 or the 39900, oh, the 13900. Okay, so you could go in that line of the 13900 and you get like a 790 board, something like that. Okay, well, have you thought about AMD? Now, the thing is you can still go AMD, if you want to go that route, but a lot of people are telling me that, I wouldn't go the AMD way because for editing and everything else, um, your next option, if you don't want to do any of the 40 series cards, would be the 30 series between, I wouldn't even say the 3050. I would say from the 3060 up to the 3080 would be your best bet. If you're going to do content creating and stuff like that, from the 3060 to the 3080 would be your one mark. And another mark would be, depends on your motherboard, and depends on, see, now this comes to the gray area. Now, what kind of motherboard were you looking to use? That's going to be the next question. What kind of motherboard did you really want to use? Do you want to use the 650 series, the 670 series, the 700 series? What was your price looking to do? Okay, that would be the next thing. Are you looking to do Intel or are you looking to do AMD? Okay, if you're looking to do a lot of content creating and you want to do the 13900K, what you do is you take and you look out and see, okay, well then who makes the best motherboards? That's your next bet. To be honest with you, for the next 5 years, uh, I don't think I would do that for the next 5 years now. But do remember, it is a good thing to have a backup just in case you get a graphics card and the graphics card goes bad on you. You got that 770 to back you up. Now understand, with Intel, and the difference between Intel, I noticed, and AMD is Intel never reduces the amount of cache if you're running integrated graphics. That's the difference. AMD does. Well, the 660i is a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. Well, it's an ITX, 660 ITX. It's a pretty good one. Why? My question is why go so small? Are you looking to do like a small build, or are you looking to do a big build? If you're looking to do a bigger build, you might want to think about an uh, MATX board instead of going to the 660i. Might want to think about it like a bigger board, so that way you get more options, like more M.2 options, especially if you're doing content creating. You want to have at least 3 or 4 M.2 slots on there, so you can at least put 2 gigs or better of you know, solid state drive space, or if you're thinking about going to hard drive, to where you're using like 8 terabyte hard drives instead of using the M.2 drive, then that's a different story. So you have to look at what you're doing a lot of content creating, but you got to look at the space, how much space you got to work with. Are you going to you need at least to separate your operating system from your content creating. So you got your I look at it, you got the one for your operating system, you got one for your content editing, and then you got your storage, your content storage. The one you do for content editing has to be at a fast speed. So it's best to use an M.2 drive for that, because that's going to give you greater speeds. So when you're editing the videos, you want that fast speed. But if you go and try to do it off of a regular hard drive, it's going to slow it down. It's basically going to make your computer run like a turtle. But if you use a secondary M.2 drive, or I would say the best speed you get is an M.2 drive. That's to be honest with you, But you always want to separate your operating system off from your content creating. Never put them on the same. M.2 drive. You want to keep those two separated, and you want to keep your storage separate from that, so that way you don't get it to where it slows it down and everything else. You want to be able to move at a fast pace. So this is the way I got mine set up. I got mine to where the operating system's on the M.2 drive. I got my secondary, which is an SSD drive. I'm using an SSD drive, and then my third one is a regular mechanical drive. So all my storage goes on a mechanical drive. I do all my content creating on the SSD, and I leave the M.2 alone. But that I'm running the B450 motherboard too. So you only get one M.2 drive on a B450 motherboard. So as far as doing it that way, if you got more than one M.2 drive, then you're golden. But if you're doing like a compact build, then you better look at heating issues to arise, unless the case itself is fully airy. Basically, you got cooling on all the way around the whole the whole computer. That's an advantage you might be able to take. But as far as getting 5 years off of the 770, truthfully, you could, but also too, you would probably want something at a higher speed. So using a discrete graphics card, okay, gives you the higher speed, gives you all the channeling, gives you everything else. Now, an integrated graphics gives you the basic baseline of your video, plainly said and put. So basically, you don't get the advantages you have with the discrete graphics card. Discrete gives you better advantages than integrated, because integrated, even though that it's going from it's so close to the processor. The integrated graphics are so close to the actual processor that you're not losing any speed. Okay, but with the discrete graphics card, you lose a little bit of speed, but you gain more speed in the back end of it. So, but the disadvantages is you don't get to disadvantage to an integrated graphics compared to a discrete Integrated graphics, you don't get the option to modify it on the Windows operating system. Totally. Not actually, you can, but not really. Because most of that work's done through the BIOS. But on a discrete graphics card, you can do everything right off your Windows operating system. So, all right. Okay, well, that's not a bad case. That's not a bad case at all. You just got to look at how many fans. Like, all right, I'm going to flip you over and show you how many fans I got. All right, so here you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I got 9 fans going in my system. Okay, this case that I just showed you, that case right there, that's a $50 case. This case cost me this case over here cost me $50. That's it. And I paid what, maybe $37 for all the fans, and I paid like $10 for the heat sink. So mine, I got 9 fans. So, but, you know, airflow, I got complete airflow through the front, goes in through the back, and up through the top. It's like this. It goes through the front, then goes directly up, and it covers the whole motherboard. So I definitely don't have heating problems. Not whatsoever. It's nice. The case stays cool. Even if it's like 85 degrees in here, it still keeps it down below, you know. Like right now, I'm only running at 112 degrees Fahrenheit. That's it. So 6 fans on a case, that's pretty much a good deal. That's recommended. You know, you got front airflow, you got top airflow, you got bottom airflow, you know. But if you get the cases to where, you know, it's glass on the front, glass on the top, glass on the side, the only real airflow you're really going to be having is from the back side of the case, and that's really closed off. So you're going to be pulling air up through the back side of the case from down for the bottom where the power supply is. That's pulling up heat, and then you're pulling it into your case. That's giving you more heat, and then it's going to be pushing right over your motherboard. That's more heat. So I don't like those glass cases like that, is because I feel they pull heat. They pull heat to your processor and everything that you got cooling, you know, and it doesn't really pull that much out the back. So you got it pushing into one side, and you got it pulling out 3 fans pushing on the inside, and then you got 1 fan pulling out the back. Now the case I have right here, it's pulling air from the front, open front, pulling it into the case, and then it distributes it over the motherboard and pulls it directly up. So that means there's absolutely no heat source whatsoever coming from that case. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. I don't recommend glass case at all. Only time I want to see a glass case is like this. Right here. That's the only time I want to see a glass case is like this right here. I don't want to see glass on the front of the case. I just want to see it on the side. I don't want it on the top. I'd rather have this mesh on the top right here. This is just mesh on the top, mesh on the front to where air flows through, and then glass case here, and air flows out the back. Goes out like this, goes in like this, up like that, goes in like this, and directly like that. That's the only time I want to see that. Okay, now let me fix the camera now. Oh my goodness. There we go. Yeah, I mean, the only time I want to see glass is like on the front of it. You're most certainly welcome. You're most certainly welcome. But I mean, where am I going to be dishonest with you? I mean, this is my rig right here. I mean, I showed you my rig right here. I mean, you know, I put a big old heat sink on it, and believe it or not, that's overkill with the heat sink, okay? I didn't have to put that big of a heat sink on it. You know, I know that, I mean, that heat sink, I'm kind of thinking that's more or less like the future. Like if I want to go up to like a 5900X or something like that, you know, that's kind of a futuristic thing. My computer is set to go and build up 3 levels. So basically I can go up 3 more levels with my computer before I have to change the motherboard, and then I can go up another 3 levels. So, you know, the way I bought the motherboard, you know, and the good thing about the motherboard in this computer, the B450, it's only $79. $79 I paid for this motherboard. It's the M/AII, and it's Asus. I paid $79. The processor, at the time, I paid $159. But now the processor is only $109. So basically, you put just about $200 in the processor and the motherboard, and then $52 in the RAM, which is only 16 gigabytes. That's all I'm using is 16 gigs of RAM. So that's only $52. So, and the M.2 drive, it's Crucial. It's a P2 Crucial. That's only $52. So do the math. I put this whole that's the whole PC right there. So, oh, that was on Amazon. You can go on Amazon. Let me look it out really quick. Let me see if I can pull it up really quick. I'm going to show you. Alrighty, let's see what we're going to do here. Let's go to Amazon and let's see, we'll go to Amazon, we'll look up Asus B450. Okay, let me flip the screen for you. Make sure I got that off. Oh my goodness. There. Move myself over here. There, we flipped the screen for you. Right there, $79. And this runs the Ryzen 5 5600G. The only thing I had to do with this motherboard was update the BIOS, which it's got it's got BIOS flashback on it, so you don't need the processor or the RAM or anything. You just need to connect the power to the motherboard and put the updated BIOS on a SD card, plug it in, hit the button, boom, wait 3 minutes, done. And then you can plug your processor and everything else for the 5000 series. It's very simple. It's not a hard thing to do, just to let you know. It's not really a hard thing to do, so it's really a good deal. So I thought it was going to be a pain in the butt, but turned around, it's not. So I mean, let me. There. We can give you a good look at it. So, I mean, what stuck to me was this. Now, this is what got me. Was that it is 4,400 right here. It's right here. That's what really stuck out to me. Was right there. The 4 DIMMs at 128 gigabits and DDR4 4400 overclock performance HDMI. And that's HDMI 2.0B and DVI and DB sub. That's integrated graphics. So yes, of course you can. I mean, yeah, you can. You can build anything you want. Okay, understand this. You can build anything you want at $1,000. I mean, let's see. Let me go to another page, and let me do this. Let me Ryzen 5700G. Yes, I do talk to myself sometimes. Let's see. Okay, so okay, let's go ahead and flip the screen back, and I'll show you something else. Look at this. This is the Ryzen 7 5700G. This is to give you a look. Right here. 8-core, 16-thread. Look at the price. Just look at the price for a moment. Okay, comes with the Asus Prime B550M Wi-Fi AMD AM4 3rd generation motherboard. Okay, now it supports everything that the B450 does. Okay, everything the B450 does and some. So this is motherboard and processor all in one. $317. So when it looks like that, and you go down here and you want to pair up some RAM to it, I don't know why they did that. Okay, let's turn that off. Okay, look at the RAM. 3200 megahertz CL16. Same RAM I use. Same RAM at all. Now look at this. $366.98. Just say it's $367. Okay. There's part of your computer. Add another $50 to that. That's $410 for the M.2 drive. So you figure it's $410 with the M.2. Add a case, that's $500. Add power supply, that's $600. Think about it. It's well low. You think that's over $1,000? You still got $400 to spend. You can get yourself, if you want to get a decent graphics card, you can get a decent graphics card. You know, I mean, it's not hard to build a system. You can build it to any way you want. I mean, but it depends on what you want. I mean, this system, right here, I would use this for content creating any way, shape, and how. Right here, I would use this for content creating any way, shape, and how. Okay. I use this system for content creating. So you tell yourself what's the difference of what I'm doing compared to what's on the market today. I mean, this system that I'm showing you is an upgrade to what I got here. This is just an upgrade. So if you're looking to upgrade your system, you can look to upgrade your system to $1,000. You can also add in a graphics card. You got enough in there to buy your system, the complete system. You got enough in there for a graphics card too for $1,000. And if you even go to $1,500, that system right there, with the B550, and you can get a higher graphics card. You can get, let's say you want to do the 5800X. You could do the 5800X with that same motherboard and the same RAM. And the RAM you can upgrade for, if you don't want to go to have 16 gigs of RAM, you can go 32 gigs of RAM is only $104. And that's with Corsair. They're only like $104. That's without the RGB. Okay, I don't like putting RGB on the motherboard because it takes away from the power of the motherboard. So that's just the way I would do things. If you want to do I would like to have a backup graphics card. I'm not worried about the cache. That's just me. I'd rather have a B550, the Ryzen 7 5700G, 32 gigs of RAM at CL16 3200, or you can go up another $20 and go to the 3600. Either way, but I think the processor more supports the 32 more than the 36. So, and I spent the time for my rig, for what I just showed you. I spent $468 with everything included. But also too, Amazon gave me a great deal. They gave me like 50 or $75 off from ordering. I thought that was a good deal. So they do sneak that in on you to give you a discount at the same time. But what's good about my system is I have a 2-year warranty on the parts. All the parts are brand new. I have 2-year warranty on my parts. So none of the parts are used. All my parts are brand new. I've been running this system for almost 5 months. 5 months. And that's crazy. All the videos that I made with just this system right here, this rig, that's what I made it with. This rig only. No graphics card. All integrated graphics. Boom. Which I'm going to upgrade this to the 5700G because I want to test out the 5700G. I want to see if it runs better than the 56. So, and as far as I spent, well below $500. So, it's a basic rig. I use it for editing. Depends on how fast you want your system or how slow you want your system. Okay, mine runs at a decent speed. It runs at what they call JayJays speed. So it runs at a decent speed. It's not breaking records, but it's working perfectly. Okay, I don't have a problem with it whatsoever, if that's what you're wondering. I've been running all this time and never had a problem whatsoever. So exactly, we all don't trust used parts. You're right, we don't. I don't trust used parts at all. You hear all the horror stories with graphics cards. You hear all these negative parts about, buying off of eBay. I bought off of eBay one time. And that was one time that I didn't get skewed. I can't say the other word because they'll demonetize the video. So I say skewed. So if you understand what skewed means, then you know what skewed means. So, but I bought one graphics card off of eBay. It was a 1 gigabyte graphics card. I didn't need a big old graphics card. Didn't have a problem with it. It ran fine. But let's get to a graphics card. Now, want to talk about it. See this one? This one right here? This is the Fire Pro 5400. This one came from Barco. Barco MXRT 5400. This is supposed to be an AMD Fire Pro 5400. They took the BIOS and reverse engineered the BIOS off of this card. Okay. This card no longer works. It worked for 2 days. This is an eBay. This is why I don't trust eBay. And I never will trust eBay. You know, especially when you're spending, you know, you got the consumer right there spending their hard-earned money. They want to know if it's worth it to spend it there or not. You know, they want to know this, and it's not. Well, the only way, look, the way I did it was this. Was I went to Amazon. I said to myself, what kind of rig do I want? Do I want AMD or do I want Intel? I said, well, okay, well, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to go AMD. So, boom, there's my rig. It's AMD. My next rig is going to be Intel. And then I'm going to explore Intel and see what they're about. I have an old Intel rig, which that's 2nd gen, but it's still running. And it's 2nd gen. And it's running with it's running with Windows 10. Okay? I got Windows 10 on a 2nd gen Intel. And that's the let me pull it real quick. Here it is. Same processor that I'm using in my other rig. Same processor. This is the i5 2400. That's the i5 2400. And it's working in a Dell Optiplex 790. Which I have the GT 730 4 gigabyte graphics card in. Runs great. I just don't like the graphics card. I'm thinking about upgrading the graphics card. So, well, you know, choosing your parts wisely is a good thing. Okay? You can choose whatever part you want in order for your computer to last. And I'm going to be honest with you on that. Is in order for your computer to last, it's how you treat your computer. Do you keep it clean of dust? Do you like, you know, clean it about every couple months? Do you keep the operating system fresh and ready to go? You know, stuff like that. Or do you bog your computer down with a whole bunch of programs and it just barely moves? You know, because you got all this bloatware inside your computer. That's another thing to think about too. You know, many of things. I mean, it's not just the hardware you have to worry about, it's your software. You know, hardware and software work hand in hand. So, oh, that's cool. The 1700 and the 550 Radeon card. Bought it in 2017. You know what? With that computer being a Ryzen 1700, that's probably the 2nd gen if I'm correct, right? first or the second gen. But the 550, you can move that up to a 2060 or a 2080. That might be something to think about too. If you do it in small increments, and I always recommend everybody, do it in small increments. If you have a system and you know it's running, see what you can do to upgrade the system you have. Okay? That's the first thing you think of. What can you do to upgrade that system to make it better? What's its max? What is the max you can get out of that system? You know, what do you got to upgrade the power supply? Maybe. Might want to go to a 650 or 750 watt power supply. Only difference with the HP, that board you probably can't overclock. Now, if you're thinking about using it for content creating, overclocking won't really matter. Once you put the PBO into a PBO boost, you know, overclocking won't be a thing. So you might think about doing an Asus motherboard, which would probably be good. That way you can set the PBO and set everything in auto and just let it do its magic. That's what, see, now that's the thing too. I have my system in the BIOS set on auto. Okay. Now the XMP, the DOCP, I don't have that set on overclock. I manually overclocked the RAM myself for the simple fact I didn't want the computer to overclock it. I didn't want it to magically push it to the max. I wanted it to be set right at the middle ground and then work right along with the processor. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But you have to ask, what do you have your heart set on? Do you want to keep continuing to go down the path of AMD and go to the unlock section? Or do you want to, stay in your basic standard computer to where everything's set on turbo and that's just it? You have to ask yourself that question. Which way do you want to go? Do you want to set it to where you have everything on turbo, or you want to set everything manually to where you have it precisely overclocked to your satisfaction? Now, there's an enthusiast side, which is the overclocker side, and there's the creator side, to where everything is set on a medium keel. So it depends on what you really want to do. Now, if you want to go to the Intel side, I'm sure with Intel, price to performance, you probably would have it there. Now, AMD, price to performance is there, but it depends on where you find it. Like, I'm sticking with the 5000 series. I'm going to be honest with you. Zen 3 5000 series, that's where I'm at. I'm not going to deal with the first or the second gen. I'm into the third gen. Not gen, Zen. They call it the Zen series. So I'm in the third Zen series. 5000 works great. So, and that's until, and now hear me out, that's until they have the drivers perfected for the next series up. Okay? Now, they don't have the drivers perfected for the next series up. So, to buy the next series, where everything's DDR5, it's not totally perfected. So I'm not going that route until till I see the perfection come in, with the driver software and everything else. Right now, I don't even want to attempt that. Okay, well, the question is, do you live close to a micro center? That's going to be one of the questions. If you live close to a micro center, you can go into micro center and price everything out, or do it online with Amazon or Newegg. Stick with those when you price out your computer. Those are the three main go-tos I would go to. But I'll tell you what, as far as graphics, one of these days I'm going to decide to get a graphics card for this computer. But for now, if I'm streaming, and get this, if I'm streaming to YouTube with no graphics card except for the integrated graphics, what is that really telling you how well this processor is working? And this is the 5000 series. That's the reason why I kind of hesitated away from, graphics cards for right now until I see something come out better. This is like the next go-to, I would think. So I would prefer, if I'm going to upgrade my graphics, to go to the Ryzen 7 5700G. That would be my next go-to. To try that out first, to see how the graphics are compared to the 5600G, that would be my utmost go-to. So, if that gives you any hint of any insinuation of what to do next, start off small and then add to later. So basically, until graphics card prices come down even more, and they show us that the drivers are working correctly, I would kind of stick with integrated graphics because it works. It doesn't give me much problems. Well, I just gave you an idea. Look, if you want to use integrated graphics, that's one story. You want to use a discrete graphics card, that's another story. Okay, if you're going to use a discrete graphics card, it's best to have an X series chip. Okay, if you don't want to do integrated graphics and you want to do, a discrete graphics card, stick with the X series. Okay, if you want to do like I'm doing, I do integrated graphics, but later on I have the option. To put a graphics card in here with these integrated graphics. I have the option to go to a discrete graphics card if I want to. That's an option. So basically, I'm taking my option side. Right. Well, like I was trying to show you, if you want to do, if you want to spend less money and get just as good performance, okay, depends on, what you really want. Okay, brass tacks right here. Stick with the B550 motherboard. Okay, if you want to start off slow, stick with the B550 motherboard. Put a Ryzen processor in it if you want to go that route. Or we can go the Intel side. Let me see if I can find you an Intel. You know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to type in Micro Center since you're only... I type as I go along. Okay, so what we're going to do is this. We are going to switch screens again, and I'm going to take you right to Micro Center. So, right here, you can get if you're looking for, you know, start right here. This is going to give you a little helpful hint. Yeah, I agree with you. I can blame either one of them. You know, this is the Ryzen 9 7900X DDR5 3-in-1 combo, $599. Does that help you out any? This is the newest processor. And with Ryzen 9, it's supposed to have integrated graphics. Just to let you know that. Or you can go the Ryzen 7 5800X, you know, with the I wouldn't go with the 550F. Or you could do the 5600X right here with the B450 MA2 for $200. Look at this. Right here. Save $200. I mean, yeah, save $180 and get it for $200 right here. I mean, and then add a video card to it. So if you want to do $1,000 system, you know, all you got to do is add $50 in RAM, so that makes it $250 for this, and then, you know, you add the hard drive, which would be M.2 drive, would be another $50, so that's $300. So you got $700 to spend on a graphics card. So figure out what you want for a graphics card. You know, you get a system like this, you add those two components, and believe it or not, you probably can do your, if you got an older case, you can take and modify one of your older cases, so you don't have to spend the money on a case. You know, something to think about. If you already got a 700 watt power supply or 800 watt power supply already, that's another thing you don't have to spend on. You know, stuff like that. I mean, if you already got some of the parts for your PC build, then that's less you have to spend that you can transfer from one computer to the next computer. Do think about that. Yeah, well, it's only $100 for 32 gigs of RAM. It's only $100. And you can get that from Corsair, and you can get that off Amazon. So, you know, that's something to think about too. Or if you want to go the Ryzen 5 3600, you can save $115 and get it for $129 right here. You can get the whole combo for $129. So that's something to think about too if you want to go that route. Or you can go the 7600X with this and do a combo for $243, you know. Or if you want to go the Intel, you want to do the 12600, they got the motherboard combo for $236, you know, they got bundles here. I mean, if you're thinking about doing that, they got bundles here. I mean, $236, $297, $414. It's all still within your budget. You know, if you want to do the 12600, 12700, 12900, you know, that's well within your budget. So that's something to think about too. You know, or if you want to shop for a graphics card, graphics cards, you can get the 3060 Ti right here, 8 gigabytes, GDR6, 459. You know, there you go. You got all the parts to your system right here. Unless you want to go the 6650 XT for $294. But me, if I had $1,000 budget, I would think about the 3060 Ti. You know, I would think about the 3060 Ti, and what I showed you, boom, done. Windows, I would say Windows 10, can't beat it. All under $1,000. See, it's not hard to build a system. You just got to know what you want. If you want, like, depends on if you want Intel, AMD, NVIDIA, ASUS, MSI, Gigabyte, EVGA, ASRock, it's not hard. So it's pretty simple, and you click here, save with combos. You are looking at the 13. This one right here, you can look at that's $680 for the combo right here for Intel. So, but compared to this, if this is how you see the difference between the two. You have a 4th gen and you have a 5th gen. This is where they don't make sense. So I would really search to see what you want. Like here, this is the X570S Mag with the 5600G for $329. That's still not a bad deal. The 5600 with the cooler, 5700X, they got the 7700X, they got the 4500. How much budget you looking to spend? If you look at 1,000, go with the best deals. Me, I would go with the B550. Let's see. So you look at $317 right here. So, and that's with the 5700G. Oh yeah, you can. You can still, if it's, okay, understand this. If your RAM is DDR4, yes, you can use that with your newer system, believe it or not. Processor, yes, you can. If you get another motherboard, you can still use the same processor with the motherboard. Power supply, not sure. Depends on the system. If it's a standard power supply, then yes. If it's a modified power supply, like HP always does, no, you can't. Motherboard you can't use. The HP motherboard you can't use because it's a modified motherboard. We know this. But if it's something like My my Optiplex 790 over here, that comes with the standard motherboard. Comes with an MATX case. I can always switch the motherboard, so it's not hard. So always look at that, what you can use and what you can't use. You can always use the fan kit from there. Yes, you can. You can always use the processor. You can always use the RAM. You could probably get away with using the case if you have to modify it. Depends on what you want to use. Me, I would go for the best I can for the price that I can get. And if I can spend less than $500 to build a computer and have it last as long as it did already with no problems, boom, I'm done. I'm off to the race. From Micro Center, what parts do I choose? Go right back to the beginning. For $1,000. Right here. Let's see. Not that one. Okay. See. They got bigger hard drives than 2 terabytes, and I wouldn't buy those. No. There we go. If it was me, probably this one. Probably this one right here. Probably this one that I would probably recommend, this one here. Hey, how's it going? How you doing here, George? How you doing? Good to see you. Welcome to the live stream. I probably would go with the 7900X. This bundle right here. I would probably go with that, and then find a graphics card. You'd probably use the 3060, 3070 or so on. Oh, I'm doing great. I'm kind of hanging in, hanging in. Trying to do what I can do. I did start the stream at 10:30 this morning, So the stream's been going on since then. I'm probably going to cut it at about 1 o'clock because I do got some things to do. But you guys got me for half an hour more. So, you know. But yeah, to be honest with you, I'd go with this right here. This bundle right here comes with 32 gigabyte of DDR5 6000 kit, you know, and then you can go back and say, okay, well, I got the kit. I probably need a power supply, so you get a power supply, you get it $100. Y'all, thank you for the love. Do appreciate it. Do appreciate it. So you look at and go to PC parts, and then, oh, I'm going to move backwards. Go to NVIDIA graphics cards and throw in a 3060 Ti. Or if you really want to go 3070 Ti. You know, 3060, 3070 Ti. Slap it all into a case with a 850 watt power supply. You can buy it for probably $60 on Amazon. Oh, no. 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 Yeah, but no, it might say that. Now, understand this. But they can get it from other micro centers. Okay? Catch 22. They can get it from other micro centers. Other micro centers. Okay? So you can get it. Don't let that fool you, because they can order it. And it might take a day or two to get it, but they can get it. Okay? It might say sold out, but you can still get it. Right. Or, I mean, like I said, right here, for $389, 3060, 12 gigabyte GDR6 PCIe 4.0 graphics card. So that's $1,000 right there. Or if you want to spend less on your processor and your motherboard and your RAM, then you can always go back and go to the B550. You can go to a 5900X and, you know, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and that'll bring you down another $200. So that'll bring you down to, like, maybe that'll give you another $200 headroom. So something to think about there too. You can go that way as well. Like if you go and you go to PC parts, go to motherboards. If you want to do AMD, let's just say you want to do AMD, right? Or you want to do Intel. You know, you say you want to do Intel, so we do an Intel motherboard. So you can get, see, that's not bad for $200, but we want to go lower than that. You can go to the 760. You can go to the 760M, which is 119. You can go to the H610, 1700. You know, you can go to the 760M right here, the D4. You know, you can go right there. So that's $100 right there. So then you spend, okay, you want to figure out how to price it. A board like that, $100. Go to the processors. So that's the 1700 series. So let's say you want to do an i5. Do the 1700. save a little bit of money. Say you do the 249, so that's 349 right there. That is 349 right there. So the 13600K, that's 349 with the $100 motherboard. And then you can go back to, with the RAM, with the RAM, you probably get the RAM for like $100, $120. So, that still leaves you with at least $150 difference. So basically, going with the older board, the older processor and stuff like that will give you at least a variant of $150 more to spend. So that will still leave you with that extra $150 that you can go and spend anywhere else, like on a PSU power supply. You can spend it there. If you want to upgrade your RAM, stuff like that. I mean, pricing your system is not hard. If you want to get a pre-built, put together system, that's different. Then you're going to be spending between $2,000 to $3,000 if you get a pre-built system put together, and like the one you want is going to be about almost $3,000. So, but putting it together yourself is not going to be $3,000. So you're looking at under $1,000, and that's pretty much under $1,000. So, and if you want to go back to Amazon and you want to spend, like on this one, let's say if you want to go the Ryzen 7 5700G, it's still a good processor. Add a little bit of a RAM to it. Take this off. $366. That's it. So add the M.2 drive. That's $410. So going from that, you still have $690 to spend. Say a new power supply at $100. That's $590. So you still got $500 to spend. And then going back to the graphics cards with $500 to spend, you can, depends on what you want to get, with $500 to spend, you can do, right here, and still have leftover cash. Okay, simple as that. So under $1,000, yes, it can be done. With the Intel processor, yes, it can be done. With the 1700 series, yes, it can be done. For what you want, if you want a 3900 series, then you better go up about $100, $200. If you want to do the 13900 series, 13700 series, you can do just under $1,000. So yes, it can be done. So I hope that answers your question on if you can build a system for under $1,000 with having at least the 13th gen processor. Yes, you can. For Intel. So, is that what you were looking for? If that's what you were looking for, then that's it right there. So, going back to it, you can, always look for your better deals. you know. See, because right here is just with these two pieces on Micro Center, they're asking $400 for it. Now, here, they're asking with the RAM, $366. So the prices from here at Micro Center, you know, compared to here with Amazon, is two different stories. So you get a better price to performance with it right here on Amazon, if that's what you're wondering. I mean, the 5700G is not a bad processor. It's just people don't like using it because it's got integrated graphics. Okay? There's nothing wrong with integrated graphics. You just got to get accustomed to using integrated graphics. But anyway, did I answer your question? You know, if that come down to it. So I hope that really answered your question about can you get the kind of system you want for $1,000, and it's yes, you can. So, anybody else got any more questions or concerns or anything else? But just on a recap, the 7800 X3D, 7900, and the 7950 X3D will be coming out February the 28th. Now the 7800 X3D is coming out April the 6th. So you got to wait on the 7800 X3D, but the 7950 and the 7900 will be coming out February the 29th. This month on the 29th. So that's just to let y'all know. And also too, Intel Arc has dropped their price of their A750 to $250. I still don't trust the drivers, and that's just my honest opinion. Because I think they haven't seasoned them enough to have them work just as good as if they were working for like an AMD graphic card or NVIDIA graphic card, just for say. Far as NVIDIA coming out with their new Titan RTX series graphics card and the 4090 Ti, it's still up in the air and it's a leak. You know, these are leaks that are coming out. And also to the RTX 4070, which is still up in the air and it's not set in stone yet, and the 4060 Ti, and so on. Right now, NVIDIA has everything up in the air, so we're not sure on which way they're going, but you know, we won't know until they start putting their foothold into what's going on. Now, as far as with AMD and their video cards, that's up in the air as well. Yeah, I understand that. I mean, that's leaving everybody with no choice. I mean, everybody's coming down to the fact of, you know, the graphic card prices are caused. Now, this is cause and effect. The reason why graphics card prices are so high is because of the manufacturers right now, NVIDIA and AMD. They keep it jacked up high, so everybody has to pay more. And then you got your scalpers, which come in with higher prices, and then AMD and NVIDIA's got to beat their prices by going up higher, and it just goes back and forth between the scalpers and the manufacturers of graphics cards, it just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They're the ones raising the prices. And everybody's just looking at, well, why is the manufacturer doing it? No, the manufacturer is not just doing it. It's the scalpers raising theirs. The manufacturer, it's one hand, it's like this. It's one hand to the other. It's like they're holding each other's hands. Right here, right here. Now let me move it over here. This is the manufacturer company. This right here, this is the scalpers, and it's going like this. The scales are tipping. Okay. Now, when that stops, then the manufacturers have no other choice but to lower their prices because nobody's going to be buying these cards. You know, they're going to say, well, you know what? The consumer's just going to say they've had enough. They're going to stick with what they got, and boom, they're going to start losing revenue right and left. They think by raising their prices, their revenue is going to come up, which is the worst thing to think. That is the worst thing to think. Revenue comes up is the more cards you sell. That's where the revenue comes up. Because if you're building them at a lower price and you're charging a decent price, the sales come up and it goes higher and higher. Your revenue goes higher because you're selling more cards. But when you sell less cards and you amp more price onto it, that's what happens. You get higher losses than what they're getting now, because now they're paying more overhead compared to profit. So this mistake they're making is keeping their cards at a high price instead of getting their cards built at a better and lower price. They should have repriced it and then brought down the prices down half of what they're charging now, and people would be buying those cards right and left. Scalpers couldn't even keep up with having those kind of a low price. You know, AIB Partners charging a lower price. Scalpers couldn't keep up. They couldn't sell their cards. They wouldn't be able to sell their cards because guess what? The manufacturer lowered the price into half of what the scalpers are charging. And they're keeping a flow of the product. And they're not stopping. And the scalpers would stop. They would go out of business because they couldn't compete with those lower prices. But once like Amazon or Newegg and stuff, once they run out of product, then, you know, that's when the scalpers come in and they start making their money. But if there's a constant flow of the same those products, then that stops. This high and low price stops. So basically, like AMD said, you know, they had it on a little bit of the news that they're only putting out a certain amount of processors and graphics cards and stuff like that to keep the price high. So who's facilitating the price? The manufacturers. Who's helping them along? The scalpers. So, and who loses? The consumer. I fight for the consumer. I'm not fighting for, you know, the big manufacturers. They got their own set ways of doing things. They think that this is the only way they can make money. No. The more consumers you have on your side, the more money you make. You have to spend a little to get a little. That's just the way business works. I've been in business mostly all my life. I can tell you how business works. And their business plan has... It's shocking me that they only got 1% of the population of the world to buy their graphics cards, to buy their processors. But they can't get the rest of the 99% that they keep choking to buy their stuff because their prices stay too high. So that's just my input and that's my thought. You know, once we get past that, then we're doing good, don't you think? Yeah, they will. They'll pay the price. Well, see, the thing is this: when you do PR for AMD or Nvidia or Intel, any one of those big companies, you don't start by sticking your foot in your mouth and saying, well, we're pulling back product to make the consumer pay more money. That's the biggest mistake they made by saying that. Nvidia did the same thing, and so did AMD. And Intel's the only one so far I didn't see say that. So that's my opinion right there. And they will continue this price gouge kind of. I call it price gouging. So, and that's pretty much what it comes down to. If, like I said, if these big companies want me to tell the, my viewers that they got a better product, then I think they need to do a little bit better PR on their product than to give us this BS that they've been giving us since 2 years back. So, greed video. Yeah, you're right. It is greed video. And you might as well add in greedy AMD too. Now, I'm going to tell you that. You better add that in because AMD's pulling the same strings as Nvidia. So, they're both doing the same thing. If it's going back and forth. So, watch for that. But anyway, we got about 8 more minutes left, and then don't forget, next week, same time, same bat channel right here. We're going to be doing another live shoe right here on JayJays Pc Builds. With me, of course. So, if this is your first time here, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you put some likes on the videos. Make sure you watch the videos from beginning to end. Would be much appreciated. I'm still trying to get up to the 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 watch hours. Once that happens, we get monetized. And then, I can start doing more with the channel. I'm working on a small type budget at this time. And I'm working hard to get up to the next level. And I hope y'all stick with me so we can get to that next level, so we can keep growing and growing and growing, so that way we can have 1 billion subscribers and unlimited everything. That would be awesome to be up at 1 billion subscribers. Now, I hope y'all stick with me. This is going to be a little bit of a ride, but we're going to get there. So, I hope one day, and this is what I hope, one day that these major companies look at the smaller channels that do put their name out there, that do give them good recommendations and everything else, that they would think about helping out the smaller channels. But they don't. They think about helping out the bigger channels, but you know how the bigger channels got bigger was by them helping them out along the way. But these smaller channels that got nothing to start with, they're trying to put their product out there, so basically they're not paying nothing to these smaller channels. They need to start thinking about smaller channels which need to grow. But anyway, the 4070 Ti should cost $599. No, the 4070 Ti should cost $399. $399, not $599, $399. The reason why I say that is because, they're older cards, like their 30 series, they should have been flushed out by now. Their 40 series, the 4070 Ti should have been about $399. The 4060 Ti, that should have been about $299. And the 4050, let's say 4050 Ti, should have been $199. They should have had a small tier. See, if they're smart, they're not smart. But the thing is they should have started out with the 4050 series and worked their way up to the 4090 instead of the other way around. You're most welcome. You're most welcome. Always here to serve, always here to help. But do remember, next week I am going to be here, same time, same bat channel, at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. On Thursdays, every Thursday, from now until, day's end, I'm going to be here. So, you take care as well. And I got about 5 minutes left, so I'm just gabbing for the next 5 minutes. And then next 4 minutes, and then I'll end off in the last minute. So we got about 5 minutes left. It's all good. So I'm glad you all did come out to, to say hey to the channel, and say, step on in and, have a good time with me and all. There is a lot to talk about right now. I know there's a lot people want to do, want to build systems, want to have fun, But in order to understand the way the PC works, is you have to dig in and say, okay, what do I want it to do? That's what you really have to say to yourself. What do I really want it to do? You want to have it for the long haul, then look at upgrade availability. The motherboard. Look at how far you can upgrade the motherboard. Now, I can upgrade this motherboard all the way to the Ryzen 9. In the Zen 3 series, the Ryzen 9. It will handle it. That's how I know. So, you would never think that a B450 would do that much. It has a lot of compatibility with a lot of processors in the 5000 series. Now, actually, the Zen 2, Zen 1, Zen 2, and Zen 3. But it's set for Zen 3. And if I ever want to set it for Zen 2, I can always modify the BIOS. Change the BIOS, go back down to Zen 2, or change the BIOS, go down to Zen 1. They say you really can't do that. I call BS. End of story. But anyway, y'all have a great day. We're getting down here in time. Your first time here, make sure you like and subscribe. Subscribe, it would help out the channel once again. And we will be seeing you all next week. Next week, right here. And you all have a fine day. And try to stay out of trouble. Watch out for the rain weather. Watch out for the snow or wherever you're at. Be safe. And don't do anything I wouldn't do. Well, just be safe. But anyway, we're getting out of here, so enjoy the rest of your day, and thank you for subscribing and watching in on the live stream on JayJays Pc Builds, and we will see you on the next video.